We're not Disney adults. We're just adults that like Disney.
We're not haters. We just have opinions.
We're not cat ladies, but we are childless. We're two entertainment creatives exploring culture at the intersection of fandom and our professional careers.
I'm Kalen.
I'm Jacob.
And this is the Childless Millennials.
Well, welcome everybody. It's back to the pod. I'm Jacob.
I'm Kalen.
And this is the Childless Millennials.
That's us.
Today's a very exciting day.
It's a very exciting day.
We have our first guest.
We have a guest.
So this guest I was so excited because this person is the perfect first guest.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we talk so much on this podcast about identity and being a fan, but also a professional. And I will say drag and sort of the interspersing of cosplay into that world is such a perfect example of being a fan and a professional at the same time. And this queen has been seen on RuPaul's Drag Race, in Drag the Musical, on Days of Our Lives, as Agatha Harkness around the country.
Yes.
Everybody welcome Jackie Cox!
Hi! I am very honored to be the first guest.
We're very honored that you're our first guest.
We are beyond honored and excited to have you here.
When I literally saw the title of this podcast, I was like, oh, this is me.
So do you identify as a childless millennial?
I may be the quintessential childless millennial. I think I'm the person that people complain about.
In what context?
Elaborate.
Well, you guys talked on this podcast about how, this originated from that tweet or Facebook post or whatever about annoying childless millennials at Disney parks. And I was like, oh, I have been that person who goes to the Disney park, maybe goes on a ride, goes and spends too much money at that bar by they already renamed the Incredicoaster now, whatever that's called.
Oh, yeah.
Lamplight
I used to just go to that bar over
Mm-hmm.
there, have a couple cocktails, wander around, and just have fun, which is
offensive to some people.
Offensive to people, which is, I have never, ever been rude to a family or child at Disney.
No, and in fact, you know who's taking their pictures? The childless millennials.
The childless millennial. When they're like, oh, there's no one to take our picture. We're like, I'll do it.
I'll do it.
Exactly.
I'll take your family photo in front of the castle. Absolutely.
And also point you to where the light is.
Yeah.
So Kalen actually has what she calls the Yellow Cup Club. Did you
Oh my God.
That can mean a lot of things.
Well, so it's Disney specific. So, if you're at DCA and you order an alcoholic beverage, they serve it to you in a yellow cup so that, they can identify people walking around with alcohol in the park, right? So me and my other childless millennial friends, they created the Yellow Cup Club back in 2018 or 2019.
Yeah.
And then I joined the friend group last year and was like, why don't we make an Instagram account and we can just shit post about us drinking at Disneyland? And so that's what we do.
Wait.
we have buttons. I'll bring you a button. We have buttons. I made special Halloween ones. Nobody's seen them yet.
What?
Yeah.
Limited
I
edition.
can't wait.
Limited edition. Yeah.
Oogie boogie.
I am a Canva
ready to
graphic
go.
designer, if I do say so myself.
Wow. Okay. When people are like, I want to start doing drag, I'm like, what should I learn first? Makeup, hair, and I'm like, no, Canva. Canva is actually going to be helpful because, baby, if you don't have a eye-catching flyer, nobody's coming to your show.
You gotta have the flyer.
Gotta have the flyer.
It's true.
You just press a button and it animates.
Yeah.
That's all we want.
And we have the nice fade in, or if you're feeling a little funky and you want it to be a little more, what do you want to call it? A little more exciting. You do the pop in.
If
Love
Canva's
those.
watching, we're available for this podcast to be sponsored.
I have created all of the graphics for this show on Canva.
We can be available to you.
Yes.
At
Pro members.
Nominal fee.
Pro members right here.
Nominal fee.
But going back to this Yellow Cup Club thing, I didn't realize until that I was like, wait, who is drinking at Disneyland that is not a childless millennial?
Right.
If I was there with kids, I don't think I would be drinking. Or maybe I might have one.
Yeah.
But we're drinking.
I was on the plane yesterday to Southern California.
You just got here.
I just got here. And the mom next to me had actually pretty well behaved, to my eyes, 7 or 8 year old child. And the whole time they were marching into the aisle, and then I'm sitting right next to me, and I was like, oh boy. But she goes, you almost made mommy late for this flight. Remember when I say we have to go? We have to go. And I was like, oh, well, okay. This was tough. She was actually very well behaved the whole flight. But mama, sure thing, when that cart rolled by, she goes, I will have a white wine, please.
Yes, she did.
She said, I will have a white wine, please.
Have
Period.
There are definitely child-full millennials also drinking in the park.
That's fair.
And
That's fair.
And I don't know if this is, I think they're jealous of the childless millennial.
Thank you. They are.
And, life can be whatever you want it to be. Yeah. I don't think there's any requirements for anything. And if you have a child and you want to live that childless millennial life, get a great babysitter for a day and come join the Yellow Cup Club.
Period.
We have a few friends who were previously childless millennials and are no longer
childful
and have babies, some of them plural. And we actually, if we're hanging out with a big group of people, we'll all do, like a little video, like a little toast, right? That we can post on our Instagram. And one time our friend Summer was there with her baby. He's like, I think maybe a year old now, maybe. But we put his bottle in the toast. So there's a video of the Yellow Cup Club with his bottle in the toast. And we were like, hey, you know what? That's just what it's going to be today.
Yeah. And for my childful friends, you're totally welcome to join me whenever I'm doing adult things, but I will not go to your kids anything.
I don't know. Other than like nieces or nephews, I don't know that I've ever been invited to a child's like birthday party or anything. I probably wouldn't.
And that's okay. But I am available if you would like to book me for a nominal fee.
Do you need entertainment for your child's event?
Available
for that.
Available for that.
Yep.
Oh, stop it. Do not use that word.
Our sound technician and editor and
has
producer
been
fired.
Oreo
canceled.
Well, so I wanna go back to the very beginning, a very good place to start. Maybe not all the way to the beginning, but you grew up in Wisconsin?
This is such an interesting question. I grew up moving all over. So my mom did medical research growing up. So we'd move over, she'd get different research grants. So was born in Canada.
Right, yes.
Yeah, Canadian. And moved to San Francisco, Bay Area, when I was like a toddler. I think the most interesting thing that relates to this podcast is, like I had a childhood that was in some ways not maybe as great. So Disney was more of a refuge for me. Also, it was one of the few things I was allowed to watch because my mom was very strict. So Disney was like
100%.
Something I like watched a lot as like a young person, but like I wasn't allowed to watch cable TV or like sitcoms.
I couldn't watch Nickelodeon.
Yeah,
I wasn't allowed to watch Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network.
And the fart jokes was too much.
Yeah. I also felt like I actually was like groomed into like not wanting to watch Nickelodeon. I myself elected to not watch Nickelodeon because I was like, oh no, that's like slimy and gross and dirty and like I only want to watch the Disney Channel. Yeah. I don't know what that was about.
For my parents, my mom specifically, it was I was out of everything, I was not allowed to watch Rugrats because those kids were bad. That's what my mom told me.
Yes.
Those kids are bad and you can't watch that show because you'll be a bad kid. And then I grew up and was like, oh no, I'm not Angelica. I'm the Cynthia doll.
No.
See, I don't even know Rugrats to understand the reference.
The thing is, we're all going to grow up to be Angelica's mom.
I mean, fair.
Just talking like this.
Talking out the side of your mouth. Drinking.
I wonder if this was did the animators when they were creating that character, like maybe meet someone with like palsy or something?
I don't know.
Because I was like,
why was she animated
that way? It's so specific that how you talk like this.
Yeah.
Which, I have some, I've met some amazing people and friends who have palsy, and I'm just like, wow, I guess people do sometimes just talk out of one side of their mouth.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
People can talk however they want. I sound like Trump.
Oh no! Yeah, we're not off to a good start here. No, I'm kidding.
No, it's going great.
So this has been our first and last guest on the show. Never again.
But you said it was a refuge for you, so you ended up in Irvine with your dad, right?
Yeah. So I moved around a lot with my mom. Then when I was 16, I moved in with my dad. My dad has been in Irvine. Basically, when my mom and I moved to San Francisco, my dad moved to Irvine. He's been a professor at UCI now for
your dad's a professor at UCI?
Yeah.
Teaching what?
Biology. Both my parents are scientists.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
cool.
I had no idea. Because I went to UCI.
Yeah,
my whole family went to UCI.
We won't have to talk years and dates and stuff, but I, basically lived on campus on and off from when I was 16 till I was 25.
Oh my gosh. Because like in the homes behind, right?
Mm-hmm. University Hills.
Crazy.
Yeah, so I was there. And my dad didn't know what to do with me because I was this like very gay, teen and whatever. And he just literally would dump me at Disneyland. He'd like drop me off.
I know so many people that's what their parents did.
Yeah.
That they just were like,
just go to Disneyland.
That it was like, because it's just like it's
safe.
Like summer camp.
Yeah, it's like safe enough. And back then, annual passes were cheap.
Yeah.
So it was just like, great, I'm going to spend a couple $100 and here's something for my kid to do whenever. And he would literally drop me off and be like, I'll pick you up at 10 at the turnaround by Catella or wherever it was. Disney Way? I forget what street it was on, but it wasn't hard to get to.
So you did know what you obviously grew up going to Disneyland, and so then did you know you wanted to work there, or like when did you start to?
Yeah, no,
think,
I did.
Oh, I want to do this as a profession, or
right. I definitely wanted to work there. I started at UCLA right after. I mean, my freshman year, and then during my freshman year, I went to like my first audition for Disney.
Mm-hmm.
And you were at UCLA for musical theater.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah.
Did not get cast. Did not get cast.
Did not.
They were looking at me for all kinds of things. They looked at me for Aladdin a bunch. They looked at me for Mad Hatter, which I'm like, I don't know if there's ever a person who's played both those. So then my friend was like, why don't you just come work with me at Interventions because they'll pay you more.
Okay.
Do you remember Interventions?
Yes.
Like, what was that? It was literally a rotating advertisement of a building.
Yeah.
And they were always proud. The people who worked there, like, we're the attraction that makes the most money for the park. And it's like, yeah, because it's just an ad.
Yeah.
The whole thing is just a rotating advertisement for, I don't know, the internet. Like, it was like so out of date.
Hilarious.
But they paid really well.
Huh.
So back then, this was 2004. I got hired in to the parks 20 years ago. And back then, I was getting paid like $14 an hour.
Wow.
To like talk about, I don't know.
The internet.
And like,
so what you're saying is you invented the internet.
What I'm saying is, like, it is the literal, like the corporate capitalist hellscape. Like, and it also looks, I don't know if you remember the internet section, but it was like these like crystal things coming out of the ground with like computer, like Lenovo laptops in them, where you could surf the web. And it was like, obviously like every website was blocked.
It was blocked, yeah.
So it was just
you
like,
could go to like Disney.com.
And also it was 2004. Everyone had computers at this point in their house. So it wasn't like anyone cared, but I had to literally stand by these, like, it was like a dystopian hellscape. These like, imagine like this color, these things like coming out of the ground with like laptops on them. And you just stand there and be like, all right, this is the internet. And everyone's like, yeah.
Yeah, I know.
We know. That was my first job at Disney.
That's crazy.
And then from there, I did end up in entertainment, and I did parades and stuff.
Yeah. What all did you did? Block Party Bash?
Block Party, open Block Party.
Oh, you opened Block Party.
Opened Block Party.
Wow.
Yeah. Toy unit. And I did the electrical parade.
Oh, fun. I love the electrical parade.
I used to, and then then back then, I don't know what the word, now it's union, so I don't know what the rules are now, but back then you would just pick up character shifts whenever you wanted. So then I would just I was nuts. I was like 19 and I had so much energy. And I would like wake up, do Plaza Inn breakfast or Goofy's Kitchen, then go do the like afternoon parade and then stay and still do it. I would work like 14-hour days.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
I actually feel like a lot of people in those departments that they made their money off of the overtime. Because they were there, like, some of them then would extend into Phantasmic or like whatever the nighttime show was.
Just keep going.
Working you like a dog.
And what was so like, I felt like sneaky is because I was already hired in at $14. That's what they had to pay me. even though back then when you hired into parades, I believe it was $7.
Not $7.
I want to say like $7.25 to dance on 90 degree weather on concrete.
Yeah.
Wow.
But they matched your rate from when you got hired in.
Period. Sure did.
Yes. A mogul.
I was like, I own 0.51% of this company. Yeah. And I worked there through college. So that was a time. People were like, what was it like when you're that young? And it was just like high school because we were so young.
Yeah.
Like we were teenagers and just madness.
Yeah.
Madness. And I love that some of those people, I go to the parks now and they're still there. And I'm like, oh, hey, girl.
And you still know people there.
I still know people there.
So I often ask people this because I also worked in theme parks, but then I like going to theme parks.
Yeah.
So was there ever a period of time for you that you were like, you weren't working there anymore and you were like, I just need a break. I can't go back. Or like, was it always special to you?
I moved to New York shortly after.
And was that to pursue like a musical theater?
In theory.
Were you pursuing like your Broadway dreams?
Yeah. My relationship to entertainment has always been one of like, am I really into this? Like I went to like one open call when I moved to New York and I was like, no.
Not for me.
This is not for me.
Yep.
Not interested in this racket. I'm also like not what and I wasn't what they're hiring at the time. But I mean like, like I was this like 100-pound baritone. Like what parts are there for me? You know what I mean? Like people who are like as tiny and as silly as I was, you had to have like a pretty high fucking tenor
Crazy
voice
high tenor.
to like be castable. So I just wasn't like what anyone was looking for.
Yeah.
I this is why I think you're so fascinating is that you like have so many different like talents and skills and abilities, but like, and you have so many different like, you come from so many different identities and things like that, and the way that you've like navigated that in your performing career is like so interesting because I was thinking yesterday like there's sort of on Drag Race there's like the musical theater girly like, that like storyline. Like, you're not that.
Yeah, it's interesting. I didn't get pigeonholed into that storyline or that character,
but that's how I knew you because you were so successful doing that. It seemed like before you moved to New York and stuff, and so then like and you sing because you said people are surprised that when you sing in your shows.
People are surprised just because Drag Race, for better or worse, becomes your first impression to the world, which I knew. That was like the one thing that like I always want to like tell anyone who's considering any kind of reality television is obviously I meet people who don't know who I am and I get to introduce myself and have a real first impression. But you always have to assume for the rest of your life that your first impression is made for you. Because when you're on a reality television,
because of what happened on the show.
Exactly. So when you're on a reality television show, unlike if you're like an actor in a scripted show, regardless of what happens or how edited it is or what they show or don't show, people will think that's the truth.
Yes.
So whatever you say or do, that will be the impression of you for the rest of your life, potentially. Like obviously there's people who have no idea who I am, but if you watch Drag Race, you have an idea of who I am. So then I lose the ability to make a first impression, both as a person, but also as an entertainer. Mm-hmm. Luckily, I think Drag Race set me up to be like, oh, she's funny and smart, which I think are true about me.
Yeah.
But like, they were like, oh, but she's struggling on the singing. And I was like, yeah, because I was singing this like really high song that like was not in my range. But if you remember the episode, you can actually watch the final performance. And I did negotiate that vocal pretty well. But of course they play the clip where I'm like, and I, talk to our dear audio producer, editor, Connor, about this a lot previously, because it was like such a, not like a gotcha, but like a interesting thing is like now singing is something that I have always done in my career that just surprises people.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we didn't know she sings.
Yeah.
It's almost like somebody is reading a book about your life, but they've cut out half of the chapters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not that it's wrong or it didn't happen. There's the footage that it happened, but it's like
there's missing pieces for context.
And missing connective tissue between all of those moments. Right?
I wonder if this is how Debbie Reynolds felt. Because like after Singing in the Rain, everyone found out that she didn't sing on it.
Yeah.
But then she went on to have a very successful cabaret career as a singer. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, she kind of spent the rest of her career proving to people that like Oh, I'm just holding this.
No, I mean, but what we're talking about, I think, is relative to Zac Efron as well. I mean, from High School Musical.
Like he was like, oh, no, I'm going to sing the next 2 movies.
Yeah.
Sorry, Drew Seeley. Drew Seeley's very talented.
Which, did you see the AI video that somebody had? It was like if he sang in the first movie, and it's like an AI version of him singing, and it's so weird to listen to.
Whoa.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Because you're like, oh, that's what it would have sounded like. Oh, that's what it would have sounded like. If it was him, it's bizarre. It's like just a mind thing. But,
so something that we talk about a lot on the show is like being a fan of something and then becoming a performer of that thing or in that world. So were you a fan of Drag Race before you were on the show?
Absolutely.
And how did that like color your experience on the show and since?
I was a huge fan of Drag Race. It's, you know, especially the seasons before me, I think really kind of created what I would call like the American drag industry, you know, and kind of created this whole business complex of now there's so many opportunities for people like me to like work in lots of different ways. And I was just so inspired by it. And, you know, by a lot of the queens that I'd met kind of as a local queen in New York before I did the show. And I was like, wow, this is such a cool career that you get to have doing this on this kind of scale. Because by the time I auditioned for Drag Race, I'd been doing like solo cabaret shows off Broadway, and I'd even bring them to LA. Like at that point, so it's like there was not much else I could have really elbowed my career into in the drag world without kind of that like, I guess like stamp of approval.
Yeah.
But then again, it was always a risk.
Yeah.
You know, it was like it's always you go on the show and like I said, like you lose the ability to control kind of what people think of you.
Yeah. You take a risk on like the narrative that they're going to create for you.
Yeah.
And how, like, what are the consequences after that?
I mean, I'm just glad I waited till I was in my 30s. Like I was in a season with a lot of younger queens, you know, like Gigi had just turned 21 when we did our season.
Wow.
And so like, I can't even imagine, you know, when I was 21, I was getting drunk and like, you know, making out with people in the Mickey and Friends parking lot. Like,
oddly specific, but I like it.
Yeah. Like that parking lot seen some things. All PG things. I was just like, what is the benefit? I did like a little list in my head.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think I'm going to do this because I love kind of what I thought I'd be able to do on the show.
Yeah.
Which it wasn't just my drag, but also talking a bit more about like my intersectionality as like a Middle Eastern person in America at that time, living under Donald Trump's first presidency and the importance to going into an election year in 2020 and like what that meant. Those were all like factors in my head of like why I wanted to do this now.
It was a great platform for you in a lot of different ways.
Yeah. So I'm really happy I did it. But it since then, it's only colored my sense in the show in the sense that I know exactly how the sausage is made.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to morally judge it, you know, even though people are like, well, now you know, like how quote unquote maybe fake it is or not. But it's like, well, it's a reality television show and the producers really want us to share who we are as part of the show. It's less a competition than it is a show. Like, you know, obviously the competition is a big part of it, but it's about telling individual stories of queer people in America today.
Yeah.
And you have to do that through the dark arts of reality television, you know, the dark arts and sciences.
People want it to be entertaining and reality TV and the way that it's edited and the way that it's shot.
And pushed. And you know, producers will be like, now will you please talk about this?
Yes.
And they'll be like, can you bring up something that you don't know, but someone else in the room might have a strong opinion
to you
about, you know? And so it's like, you know, creation of reality under false circumstances.
Right. One of my favorite things about reality TV is the way they edit reaction shots.
Oh, sure.
And having been in the industry and worked on shows like that, you watch it back and you're like, I didn't make that face
at that time.
But like I always say, like the magic is in the edit. And sometimes it's so funny to me because you can tell. I mean, at least I can tell that it's like, oh, these were two different circumstances, but they really wanted to make it look like I had or somebody had a strong reaction to this. And that's always the funniest thing to me is like, no, she didn't make that face about this. It was something else, but that's the way they wanted to edit it.
But at the end of the day, I enjoy watching the show still. Yeah. I enjoy learning about other drag queens, especially like the newer generation and what they're doing and why they're doing it. And yeah.
Do you think it like, I feel like Drag Race now is, maybe I'm like projecting this, but it's like after I made my Broadway debut, it like legitimized what I was doing.
Yeah.
It said like, I'm serious now. Do you feel like once you're on Drag Race, people are like, oh, like she's a real queen or like.
For sure. Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I mean, especially in New York where I kind of built up my own audience, but it wasn't as much in like, I wasn't, bucking and twirling 5 nights a week at like hardware and pieces. Right. And I wasn't like running around the city kind of doing that thing. I was building like a smaller audience that would see my shows at 7 p.m. at the Laurie Beachman Theater. Like I wasn't like doing the kind of like nightlife scene of New York, but then obviously Drag Race people now invite me to do all kinds of things in the nightlife space.
Because before you were on Drag Race, do you think that there was like a part of that first impression that you would say like, I'm a drag artist, and people were like, okay, or like not taking you seriously?
They're like, which bar are you at? And I'm like, well, I don't do a weekly show at a bar, but you can catch me here, there, and the other place. And they're like, oh, which, I guess to answer your earlier question of like, the traditional theater narrative for Drag Race has been like, oh, she quit theater and now she's at a bar 5 nights a week. And I was like, well, I don't do theater, but I do drag as theater.
Yeah.
Right.
It's kind of like what I decided to do with drag as a, it's like what I did was still very theatrical based, but it was just my own version.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we've talked about Disney and working there and being a performer there, Drag Race. So are there any other things about you that like you're a fan of, like fandoms that you participate in that you've been able to work in some capacity? I know before we started the show, you were talking about
Star Trek.
Like you're a Star Trek fan. I know you do cosplay, type things. So are there other things that you're a fan of that you've been able to experience as a performer?
Star Trek is the big one that I got very lucky, literally after my season of Drag Race. Mm-hmm. So corporate time. When Paramount prior to becoming Paramount again, Viacom CBS was split up. I think before my season of Drag Race was split up, and CBS owned the rights to Star Trek.
Okay.
So CBS was one company, and then Viacom was another company. Viacom had MTV, Drag Race, all of that stuff. And then after my season, they remerged.
Okay.
So now Drag Race was now within the same company as Star Trek.
Okay.
And so the minute that happened, I literally called my people at Paramount and I was like, what you got for me?
Yeah.
Period.
I'm available.
Put me in. I'm available and ready. I've already memorized the lines. I don't have a script, but I know what they are.
Literally, and I got a job, I did the first post-pandemic official Star Trek convention in Chicago, Mission Star Trek. I got to do a drag show in like the biggest theater at the convention, which was like one of the most well-attended things. I did like a solo Star Trek drag show.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and they flew me out there and it was great. And I got to meet a lot of my like childhood heroes.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Amazing.
And then, since then I've gotten to like interview a lot of them on carpets for Paramount,
Very
but they
cool.
use for their socials and stuff. So that's been very cool for me.
Look at you two in because she's done that for Disney.
I've done that for Disney.
Yeah. Yep. That's so like, why not? Like the thing is, I think I'm easy to talk to.
Yeah.
I know I'll turn a look. Just put me in, coach.
Yeah. Well, and I think there's also something special too about putting a performer on a red carpet to ask other performers questions, right? Because it's like, even if we're not in the same world, I know when I'm on stage, the things that I wish people knew about my performance.
Yeah.
So I also think it makes us better interviewers because it's like, oh, I can ask, even if they're getting the same question 12 times on this press line, maybe I can ask it in a way that like lights them up and they get to talk about something in a different way.
You know what a performer's not going to do on the red carpet was it Tiffany Haddish that the interviewer was like, I love your costume. And she goes, this is not a costume. This is Dolce & Gabbana.
Mm-hmm.
This is a look.
Not on a carpet asking.
They literally were like, tell us about your costume.
A costume is something you wear on stage.
Yes.
When it's on the carpet, it is my outfit.
It's my outfit. This is a look. Tell us about the look.
I don't think it was Tiffany Haddish. Who was it? I can't remember. Oh, was it? Okay, I wanted to.
Our producer confirmed.
A producer is confirmed. I'm getting it.
Producer
right
confirmed.
now.
It is Tiffany Haddish.
So that's been very cool. And also with that fandom too, there's 50, 60 years of lore there that like I have a pretty good grasp of so that I can ask questions that aren't like, so what kind of alien are you? You know, like I know already, so I can just be like, great. And then was it cool working with this new alien? You know, or whatever it was, kind of questions. So that's been very cool. The one that I'm like, I just found out that Universal announced like the Star Trek / Back to the Future / Dungeons and Dragons.
The night. Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Like, you know, that's so Back to the Future is my other like big one. I love when I was a kid.
Too.
Love Back to the Future.
Me too.
So I'm like, but
this
I do love Back to the Future and the musical. So please hire me and Jacob and Kalen for Universal.
Well, because I think we have the trio though, because we have
are you a Dungeons and Dragons?
I'm a big Dungeons and Dragons girly. Literally played yesterday for like 5 hours.
Wait, so my goal, I've been wanting to learn.
I'll teach you. It's so fun.
I've been because I have not watched the movie yet because I was like, I feel like I should wait to watch the movie until I've played it. I've never played it.
Yeah. So I am going to recommend something to you. There was a podcast with John Bernthal and Deborah Ann Wall.
Okay.
And John Bernthal asks Deborah Ann Wall, he's like, so you like they're talking about Dungeons and Dragons because she is big into D&D.
Whoa.
And he's like, I don't get it. Like, and she like immediately drops him into a game, like completely unprompted, just like asks him a question. And within 45 seconds, they're playing they don't have dice or anything, but they're playing a very basic version of D&D. And it just like, it's so cool for people to see that like, it doesn't have to be this big dramatic thing with like set pieces. And like, we're not LARPing. We can just sit here and chat and create like this cool world that we get to experience. I love D&D. Let's talk later. Okay. I won't make the whole show about D&D.
We're going to do a bonus Patreon only episode where the three of us play D&D.
Stop. Can we do that?
Yeah.
And I'll run a game for you guys.
Sure. Yeah. I don't know if there's a Patreon yet for this, but subscribe at this link.
Yes. Thank you. Okay, so I love that you're here because we've all really gotten into a good rhythm, and like Jacob said, you're the perfect first guest.
Perfect.
And like maybe we'll never have another guest because you've set the bar so high. So
I'll just come every time I'm in California.
Okay,
there we go.
Period. I love it. So let's do some of our normal segments.
All right.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It's time for
Violently Millennial. The theme of Violently Millennial today is Violently Millennial Fashion.
I have so many opinions on this.
I know, and that's why I'm really excited. So
I can start.
Yeah, you start.
I'm really upset about skinny jeans.
That's what it was.
Because I didn't discover skinny jeans till like way later than everybody. Yeah. And so because I think that I thought skinny jeans were maybe like kind of gay when I was in high school.
Yeah. They sure
so I was
were.
They were.
So I was like, oh no, I have to wear a low-rise boot cut fit. So then like post-college, once I like realized I had this like fat ass, I was like,
tell the people what they want to know, Jacob.
Once I realized I had the thighs and cakes, I was like, I literally bought a pair of skinny jeans, I think from like Uniqlo, and they sat in my closet for 5 years or something because I was like, oh no, these are too tight. And then one time I put them on and was like, oh, these actually like
fit.
Look really good on my body specifically, not even like the style or the trend. But I was like, I look good in a skinny jean. And then like a year later, it was like, oh, no, that's like really millennial.
I just want to point out, because I know nobody watching this or listening to it can see, but we are both wearing baggy pants. And you are wearing a very slim.
I'm wearing a skinny.
A tight khaki.
I got these tailored to be skinny.
Stop.
Yes, Mama. I bought
these 2 sizes too big.
I bought these at Lululemon like 10, 12 years ago. And then when I realized I love skinny pants, I took them to the tailor that does all of Lululemon's alterations. I said, can you make these a skinny cut for me?
I have a lot of opinions on pants. So my first thing I will say is don't let the silhouette of the pant influence whether you think it can look good on your butt. Because any silhouette of pant can look great on your butt if it's tailored to fit your butt.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wearing like a baggy carpenter jean, but I got it because the advertisement says loose on the thing or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I got it smaller than I would normally buy in pants so that it would be tight specifically on my butt.
Mm-hmm.
See, but I have to buy pants normally a size up and then take in the waist because there's not enough room.
And that's
We're
okay.
big booty girls.
Yeah. And that's okay. So what I'm going to say is this. Pants trends, so the skinny and slim pant stayed for a significantly longer time in men's fashion than anyone anticipated.
It's true.
So it started, around the Y2K era and then continued literally until just a couple years ago. So they had a very long run, but I'm liking that there are new silhouettes because it gives us more opportunities to like change up our wardrobes. And this is the one thing I will say, East Coast versus West Coast. The reason West Coast fashion doesn't change as much because the weather doesn't change as much.
That's fair.
In the East Coast, because we are constantly like putting away clothes and bringing out clothes. Every 6 months, I'm like, whoa, I can't believe I wore this last summer.
Yeah.
I'm done with her.
Yeah.
That's so true. Like people I never until I lived in New York packed up seasonal clothes and put them in a box and then pulled them out.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay, so I'm gonna pose another one.
Okay. So yes, the answer is skinny jeans are
Violently millennial. Yeah.
But look, you know what we're gonna do? We have a lot of things to do. We have a Dungeons and Dragons game to play. Yeah. We're gonna go to the mall.
Yeah,
and the other thing I'm gonna tell you is this little secret. Don't let the gender of the section of the clothing decide whether you're gonna try it on.
100%.
Because like these are the first baggy pair of pants I bought that are men's. Most of my baggy jeans I buy are women's because women's stuff tends to fit better on the butt.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I don't have a fashion eye. Like I can't see something on a rack and go and like envision what it will look like or how it will
You
work.
didn't walk into your closet and say, I'm going to be the white Usnavi from In the Heights today. That wasn't how it, was that how it?
Absolutely dragged me from
What's that?
I did not.
You didn't?
No, in fact, I bought this shirt because we went to...
It's a very cute shirt.
Thank you. Well, we went to an event and I left all my clothes at home, so I had to scramble and go to the nearest Nordstrom rack.
This is like, people are like, aren't you so worried you travel so much and you're going to lose your suitcase? And I'm like, when my suitcase doesn't show up,
I get to buy new clothes. Correct.
And
I'm going to the mall.
Charge it to someone else.
Yes.
Me, probably, but...
It's a business expense.
It's a business expense.
Put that on the business Amex, not my personal. Thank you.
Heck yes.
Okay, so this is one that's come up a lot recently. No-show socks.
Violently millennial?
Violently millennial. That's what Gen Z is saying. No-show socks are violently millennial, and it's all about like the ankle, like
the crew length
sock.
Yeah,
yep.
this length sock. Yep. Not even, because I feel like once the gays started wearing short shorts again, which they hadn't worn since the 80s.
Yeah.
It was all about the high socks.
Yes, it was all about the high, like mid-calf.
Covering the calf because it like highlighted the calf.
Yep.
Is that why it highlighted the calf?
Yeah. Well, you kind of right. If like it also like your legs are now all the way up here.
Yeah.
So you kind of like build that line a little. I think because now Gen Z's shorts are longer.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's like, all right. So now we're not going to go all the way that high. But the thing about a no-show sock is that to me, I always think of like Queer Eye for the Straight Guy, which is like violently millennial.
Violently millennial. Yeah.
Like the original Queer Eye for the Straight Guy.
Yes, the original Queer
Actually,
Eye.
both of them are violently millennial, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah.
But it was always like, we're going to get you, it's Carson Kressley walking in, we're going to get you this beautiful leather driving shoe.
Uh-huh.
It was always a driving
Always
shoe.
a driving loafer.
Like, what is that? Like, what?
Always.
Like, what is that? Like,
with not a sock to be seen.
And they'll be so comfortable because you'll wear this no-show sock. Now, Gen Z is wearing like fully like leather shoes with a crew sock.
Yes, with a crew sock. They're wearing like a leather loafer.
Yeah.
With a crew sock. And then if you want to be like a coquette girly, it's like a ruffled sock.
And I do.
So I sang at a wedding last weekend, and the groom, violently millennial, like a short, slim pant
Yeah.
A loafer, not a sock in sight.
Like a capri.
There was a lot of exposed ankle.
It is.
A lot.
But also, I'm gonna say this to all of my fellow
Connor's
millennials
like, I
watching.
do that, and I'm like, you're violently millennial.
What is amazing about millennials is we have had access to good skincare our whole lives.
Fair.
Gen X and above can't say the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So we all look pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And we also didn't like suck on the vape since we were 15.
Right.
So Gen Z, love you guys. You're going to have all of these mouth wrinkles because y'all been on that vape too long.
It's true.
Put
the vape down.
We have the blessing of no vape.
No vape. We learned how to use sunscreen.
Yeah. We learned how to use sunscreen. First generation to use sunscreen.
Ever.
Literally
ever.
I mean, to use it when you're young.
Sorry, I'm learning so much from this.
No, like the reason we look so much younger than people who were our age is because of that. And we also have instantly have access to trends with social media.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like you're like, what are those kids wearing at the mall? It's like, oh, like Charlie XCX is in my phone wearing this. I can dress like her. So you can be as violently millennial or not as you want in terms of your fashion.
I think that my fashion choice is still, would Troy Bolton wear this in High School Musical? I think that's still how I shop, and I need to move on.
Baby, we need to do another special episode where the three of us just rewatch High School Musical 1.
Yes.
And I will point out to you, beyond the shadow of a doubt, factually, it is the gayest movie. I'm sorry to our first
it really is.
Gay marriage couple on Disney Channel. It is the gayest movie. Monique Coleman has an agenda.
No, High School Musical
is my everything.
But
the whole premise is he's like, should I be a sports bro or a musical theater guy? And it's so
an allegory
gay
for bisexuality.
It absolutely is.
The beveling by Ms. Efron is amazing. Monique Coleman on her lesbian agenda.
Yes.
Agenda.
It was one of those things where I was watching it and
amazingly
I was like,
so.
Why do I want Zac Efron and Corbin Bleu to kiss? It's weird.
And
why do I want that?
And there is a version where it's Gabrielle and Taylor.
I mean, correct.
Yeah.
What a story.
What a chance.
Also,
I was saying like 2 episodes ago or whatever that like Hannah Montana also like she's literally is a drag queen.
Literally a drag queen.
Literally a drag queen.
It's literally, I have a drag persona.
Oh yeah.
It's actually unbelievable.
I think what we're talking about now is that gay agenda that people talk about all the time. Mm-hmm. I think that's what it is. It's been around for a while.
I didn't know what that meant, Connor.
Oh yeah.
I don't dance.
I don't dance.
Lucas Graybiel.
Yes.
Thank you for your service.
Yes, thank you so
Not
much.
a gay, such a fierce ally.
Yeah.
Fierce
ally.
Fierce ally. Lucas, if you're listening, we love you. Thank you for paving the way for all of us.
The last thing I will say is, are Uggs violently millennial? Because I grew up with like every girl, like this is I think it might be just a SoCal
Uggs.
Thing. Short skirt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The Uggs
Yeah.
short skirt, tiny tank top, or oversized sweatshirt.
Yeah. I don't actually think I would say Uggs are violently millennial, only because there are 3 shoes that like Gen Z is currently like bringing back in terms of trends.
Oh yeah.
And previously I would have said, yes, these are all like violently millennial. It's Uggs, Birkenstocks, and Crocs. And like Gen Z is unironically wearing them again.
Well, they're comfortable shoes.
Because they're comfortable shoes.
No. Crocs are not comfortable. I don't know what is wrong with Crocs.
In my defense, I've never actually worn one.
The only time I've ever worn Crocs was in Book of Mormon as Jeffrey Dahmer. I had orange Crocs.
What a sentence. The only time I've ever worn Crocs was as Jeffrey Dahmer.
Jeffrey Dahmer's in Book of Mormon?
Yeah.
I've seen that show like 3 times.
In Spooky Mormon Hell Dream. It's in Spooky Mormon Hell Dream, right?
Yes, in Spooky Mormon Hell Dream.
I'm always so distracted by everything going on in that number.
By the giant cup of Starbucks coffee.
What is happening in this number?
No, so the costume is an orange jumpsuit with orange Crocs.
Wow.
And I was wearing socks with them too, which probably very Gen
ankle
Z.
Socks or
no crew.
Oh,
crew. But I was like, every time I put them on, I was like, these are not comfortable shoes.
A Gen Z icon, Jeffrey Dahmer.
Whoa.
was like, these are not comfortable shoes. Like, and they're hideous to look at. And I cannot with the like, the plastic like things that people put in the holes.
They're called gibbets.
The gibbets.
They're called gibbets?
Gibbets.
I can't.
Who made these? An old-timey sailor? Who designed
They're
this
called
shoe?
Gibbets. Yeah.
Hoist the gibbets!
So I also wore Crocs in a show one time, but they were our like backstage shoe. So when I worked at Universal Studios, I was in a show called Celestina Warbeck and the Banshees, and I was a banshee. They're like the backup singer dancers.
Yeah.
And we weren't allowed to wear our character shoes from our break space to the stage because it would ruin the bottoms, right? So we had Crocs. Yeah, I forgot to put my character shoes on one day and walked out as a banshee and like walked out at the top of the show and looked down and I was wearing Crocs
my God.
on stage. Yeah.
It's giving Brooke Shields at the Tonys.
I mean.
Well, you know what it is? And this is something I credit Bob the drag queen for. She told me that, like, Jackie, you're going to be touring a lot. This is like right. Like I think it was after my season film, but before I started like, really running around the country doing stuff. She's like, the minute you leave the stage, take your heels off. Mm-hmm. Who are you wearing them for?
Yeah. Nobody.
People say, oh, your feet are going to expand. Who cares? Like you have to squeeze back in them later. Fine. Take them off.
Period.
But I don't have a croc back, so I'll have like a slipper.
Yeah.
Or I'm wearing like 8 pairs of tights, so it actually doesn't really matter if I'm just walking around barefoot.
Yeah.
Barefoot. Yeah, the Crocs, all the shoes. Yeah, I think Uggs. Yeah, but also like Uggs makes a lot of silhouettes now. But it's that classic brown.
The classic brown. I had the ones with the buttons on the side. Why did I have Uggs in Jacksonville, Florida? Is really the question.
People wearing them around LA too.
That is, I think, the violently millennial part is the like Ugg in a warm
in an
climate.
inappropriate part of the country
with a short,
like a skirt. Mama, if you're wearing shorts, why are you wearing?
Yeah,
Uggs?
it was the tall Uggs, like with the fur and the buttons on the side, like a denim Hollister skirt. And then like the Henleys that they used to have at like Hollister and Abercrombie, that like it was so long, like it was almost a dress.
Yeah.
And then the sleeves were also aggressively long, so your hands never showed. That was me in high school for sure.
Like that pajama core.
Yeah, almost.
Yeah.
But with a denim skirt for some reason. Like why did we?
I think the most violently millennial Ugg of them all is like the bedazzled glitter. For sure.
Sure.
The sequin.
Yeah.
The sequined Uggs.
I will say the most violently millennial trend that has not come back though is the short sleeve and or tank top over long sleeve and or that kind of layering has not yet come back.
Or like the double polo.
The double polo. I was guilty of that.
Yeah. I think it's my 9th grade yearbook photo.
Double polo.
Double polo popped collar.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I have headshots in a double polo blue and yellow popped collar.
Should we bring it back, like ironically?
I don't know.
I'll wear it to your show tonight.
What's wrong with
That's why you're wearing the Jackie show.
Fashion is nothing if not commentary. What's wrong? I'm open to ironic clothing.
Yeah. I could see a double polo with these pants.
Why not?
I think if Gen Z knew the double polo existed, they would bring it back.
Do you think it's still in the archives? Like they haven't gotten there yet?
It's in the Disney vault.
Yeah, they're too busy. Like I think they're still obsessing over the like wide leg pant.
Yeah. That makes sense. So we're going to move on to one of our other segments. Normally, we would each have one thing and then discuss, but we're going to throw this one to you for this.
Okay.
So this is our segment called Not This.
Not This.
You know what? This is going to sound horrible.
That's the point.
Yeah. And I don't want to get too political, but I don't know what the hell a joyful warrior is. And it's something the Harris campaign's been trotting out there every 5 seconds. And obviously, not obviously, but if you're watching, I'll just say my political beliefs. I want Kamala Harris to be the next president. I don't know what a joyful warrior means.
Do you know?
And this is,
I don't know.
This is the problem. Do you know what it makes me think of?
Tell me.
It makes me think of those 3 sidekicks from Mulan. And that's whenever I hear they're like, hey, she's going to march in there as a joyful warrior. I think, a girl worth fighting for. And literally like, they're like three very violently different body shapes and like smiling.
And then we end up with Mushu.
As they're like got to go kill the Huns. Like, I'm like, that is what I think of when I think of a joyful warrior.
It for some reason is triggering to me like a Christian coded, like a warrior.
Is that what it is? Sure.
Like onward Christian soldiers. Like, do you remember that song from church?
I mean,
do you remember that song?
I did not grow up in the church, so I'm the odd man out here. But it's the one thing that I'm like, I don't know if this is working, but everyone keeps saying it. And I just don't know what it means because war is not joyful.
Yeah.
Unless you're in a cartoon, right? Then it's like, a girl worth fighting. I'm like, that's all I think of now. So, and then, the best part about that is then I'm like, well, then are they going to get in drag?
Yeah.
Period.
They say there haven't been drag queens in Disney movies. There sure have been.
There have been.
So many
drag queens.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think I understand the joyful warrior thing either.
I don't
Do you get
means.
it?
I mean,
you're more like politically
I think what they're
than
just trying to do is it's a failed branding technique of like that she's like full of joy and she's like, but she's also really tough on crime. Yeah, she's a prosecutor.
But you can't just say those two things separately.
Yeah,
like she is full of joy and she's tough on crime, right? It doesn't have to be like she's a joyful
warrior.
I don't know if I've heard it like as a combined label.
I guess I heard it in like a Tim Walz speech.
Oh.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, coach. Could you imagine him saying it to a bunch of like 14-year-olds like, all right, you're going to get out there on that court field. I don't know what he coached, basketball court, and you're going to be joyful warriors. Like, can you imagine him saying that?
Yeah. It gives me very Christian vibes, like going out and like witnessing to people, like sharing the word of the Lord. And it's like we're joyful warriors for the Lord.
And like the like Bible verse, like there's a time and a place for war. No. We're never gonna condone that.
Yeah, if we can avoid war. Yeah,
that's the move.
Let's avoid war. Yeah. Let's not.
Well, Jackie, is there anything that you want to tell us? What's coming up on your schedule?
Oh my gosh! I don't know when this is going to air. I
know by the time this airs, I will have seen your gay day.
You'll see my gay day show.
Which I'm so excited about.
Yeah, so I'm kind of in a period of planning the next big thing, which we'll see when that happens. But stay tuned.
A Christmas? Are we getting Christmas this year from you?
Well, so me and Jan did Christmas together last year, and so what I want to say is you'll be able to see us this year with her schedule and my schedule. We're trying to figure out if that's actually possible
because you're filming All Stars. So
can you imagine they film All Stars during Christmas? They're like, well, we got the studio for cheap.
Yep. No holidays for you.
So Christmas Day through New Year's, we're filming the next season of All Stars. No one else was going to use the studio, so
it's empty. We got a good rate. Your catering is a Christmas ham.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God.
Can you imagine? No, we're trying to figure something out, but we'll see. I'll post about, what I am doing, people can see me a lot, is I will be doing money to raise, I will be doing shows and stuff to raise money for Kamala and down ballot candidates. So stay tuned on my Instagram. I'll share more about how you can come and see me or what are some cool things you can donate to if you support down ballot blue candidates. Yeah. So baby,
I think you're a joyful warrior.
Fuck. A girl worth fighting for. Wait, I should sing that on Monday.
I think you should.
I'm doing a show for down ballot. I'm missing it.
Do it. Put it in the show.
Is it too late to add
it to the show?
Is it too late to add it to your show in 4 hours?
I'm pretty sure all of the like lyrics are like pretty misogynistic.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So I'm gonna have to go and rewrite the whole thing.
Or if it's like commentary, like if you're singing it like as like, there's got to be.
I will say with drag, the more direct is better. It's not you're at a bar, people are drinking, and you want to just tell them the truth.
Yes.
Like it's this very simple parody of Out Tonight. Let's get the vote. out tonight. You just gotta. It's just if you just
tell them what you want them to do.
It's got to be simple.
There's no subliminal messaging. It's very direct. No
subliminal messaging.
Kamala Harris is a girl worth fighting for.
Kamala Harris, a girl worth fighting. It's right itself.
That's it. We've done it.
Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. This has been the Childless Millennials with Jackie Cox. And make sure to like this video if you're watching us on YouTube, subscribe to our channel, or subscribe to us on whatever you're listening to this podcast on.
And Jackie created a Patreon for us, so we're going to go ahead and put that link for some bonus episodes.
Bonus content.
Yes, and you can follow Jackie Cox on all the things.
Yeah, Jackie Cox NYC across all socials.
Just got here this morning, $3 2 bags.
Like, what do I do when I move?
I don't know.
You just put a not in front of it. So it's Jackie Cox, not NYC.
No. I thought about it.
All right. Thank you so much. We'll see you in
a
little bit.
The Childless Millennials is a podcast hosted by Jacob Heron and Kalen Kelly. The show was produced by Connor Warren Smith with music by Connor Warren Smith.